I have spent the last 8 years helping hundreds of real estate agents and brokers, ranging from top 10 mid-sized teams to top 10 individual agents to brand new agents alike. And we have spent millions of dollars on advertising, on organic social media. And in this video, I'm going to share with you something I have never shared before, which is that I have 7 internal hacks whenever we work on marketing to get new listing clients. So let's start with number one: show, don't tell. Too many times people forget that real estate is an extremely competitive industry. Whenever you're listing a house, whenever you're marketing your services, whenever you're promoting yourself on social media, realize there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people just like you trying to do the same thing, get the attention of the homeowner to think of them as the best realtor. And too many times I see that brokerages teach people to say that I'm the best real estate agent, or I sell the homes fastest, or I do this and this and that, but never really back that with anything. And because of that, the homeowners have a very, very large something called bullshit detector, right? So whenever they hear something like that, they're basically numb to it. They do not respond to it. And in fact, they don't even register that you said that. So don't say, I get home sold fast. Don't say I'm the best realtor. Don't say I have the best reviews. Just show what that actually means and what you actually do. So a good example of this is if you have a listing, right, that you just listed and you just sold a listing, instead of posting a picture, just sold this house, it doesn't tell anything about that, about your skills, right? It just tells that you just sold a house. So instead of just saying just sold, post a picture of a house, right, and the house, say something like, we listed this home on Thursday, we did XYZ to promote it. So XYZ could mean something like we ran social media advertisements with $2,000 to this property. We generated 500 buyer leads. It had 19 showings by Saturday. We accepted 5 offers and we accepted an over asking offer by Sunday nights, right? Now you're showing people that, hey, you're actually doing something. And let's face it, the homeowners have a very large bullshit detector, right? So whenever you do something like this, we actually showcase, hey, you did put the effort in. You did record that video tour. You did put some advertising money behind it, right? You did actually something to promote that property. Just going to showcase the homeowner that, hey, you're not just another real estate agent. You're not just going to take some pictures on your iPhone, right? Put the property on Zillow with low quality pictures. You're somebody that's a professional. You're somebody that takes your business very, very seriously. And that's something we talk about all the time, is that whenever you're trying to get a listing, right? Whenever you go to that listing appointment, the homeowner, most of the time, they have already looked you up on social media. They have checked your Facebook pages, they have checked your Instagram pages, they have looked you up on YouTube, right? They have looked at what kind of marketing can you produce for yourself, right? And then mirror that back to whatever they're going to receive. So remember, whenever you're marketing yourself, right, you're also creating a perception of, okay, what are your services going to be like as a real estate agent? Now, this is very, very important, especially if you are a listing agent, you're trying to get listings, right? If you have something like a YouTube property tour where whenever you're listing a new property, right, you're recording a quick video on your YouTube channel, you're posting it out, and it's actually a good video, that's going to create a tremendous amount of value and tremendous amount of authority, right? Because you're already showing that you know how to do a video tour. You know how to use these modern channels to create that demand. Now, whatever strategy you're using, right, doesn't have to be obviously social media. If you're doing something else, make sure you're showing that you are using those strategies, because as simple and as easy as this sounds, most people never show it, right? Most people just sold, just listed. They never talk about the actual process, the effort that they put in. And this is actually very simple. If you go on any real estate Facebook ad, right, what is the first thing you hear people say, right? Real estate agents are a waste of money. Why are they charging you to commission, right? There's all these AI. We don't need real estate agents, right? So whenever you show that, people kind of get it, right? They get, oh, okay, this real estate agent is actually doing something, right, to sell my properties. So super important, because we know in real estate industry that, hey, real estate agents are valuable. You are negotiating deal. You are putting the money behind the ads. You are actually creating video tours. You are doing all those things to actually sell the property, right? But the average person, they do not know any of that. So remember, we have to take the position of the average person, right? And then make sure they get it as part of what your services are, because that's going to be the difference whether they hire you or whether to hire their niece or some part-time realtor or try to sell the house themselves, right? So use real tangible examples, stories, and really try to get the homeowner, right, to paint that picture in their mind of, hey, I'm going to hire you, right? What is that going to look like? What are the benefits I get? What is the process going to look like? What I'm going to basically get for my money, and show the result, not just the claim. So whenever you show the result, whenever you show the process, right, you're going to be able to really build that trust and buy-in. And that's how you avoid a lot of the objections about the commissions, right? About the selling the house themselves, right? It's really true, again, building that value. When people see that, all those things fade away. Now, let's go to number two. Number two is implied authority. So you don't want to brag, but you should signal credibility. And what this means is, hey, if you want to have authority, right? An easy example of like authority is, imagine you're walking down the street and a guy comes up to you and they're trying to sell you something, right? They're like, hey, do you want to buy this new solar subscription, or do you want to buy this new phone subscription, or whatever, right? They're trying to sell you something. Now, that person typically has very low credibility, right? They don't have any authority. There's no reason for you to stop, and you're usually just walking by them, right? Now, imagine if you're walking down the street and a guy in a police uniform comes up to you and you say, hey, stop, don't move, right? If a guy or gal, right, in police uniform says that to you, they have tremendous amount of authority, right? Because it's from the government, that if you're not going to stop, you're breaking the law, right? Now, that is the difference between two same things, right? It's exactly the same person, they just have a different uniform, right? Thing is, the other one has more authority. Now, the same exact example applies to you as a real estate agent, right? There's thousands of real estate agents out there, and if you don't have authority, you are kind of like that salesperson, right? Like, hey, we're try to sell people on something, and you have very low authority. Now, if you frame yourself as a salesy person, as a salesperson that in that way, that's more like on that needy scale, right? Well, you're not going to have a lot of authority. But you frame yourself as that police officer or as that like doctor, right? As that expert, you're gonna have a completely different frame. So one of the things to keep in mind is that a lot of people that we have seen, they actually have a lot of authority. So if you have sold hundreds of homes, if you have been in the business for 5, 10, 20 years, right, you have a lot of authority. So make sure you're actually signaling this over time. Because again, for you, this is complete obvious thing. You know that, hey, you've been a realtor for 10 years, you sold 500 property, you have 5 stars delivery. You know that stuff, right? But the person going through your marketing doesn't know that, right? So if you're buying leads from Zillow, you buy leads from Sync, you're running Facebook ads, you're running YouTube ads, whatever you're doing, right? The person does not know that. They have no idea you have all this credibility or what that credibility even means. So use those numbers. So things are like, a couple examples are things like, hey, I've sold 125 homes in this zip code, or 90% of my listings sell within 10 days. And hey, if you don't have this authority, no problem, right? You can just use your brokerage's authority. Go up to your broker and ask them, hey, what are 5 main stats our team or our brokerage are known for, right? And then again, just drop these things in your marketing. Whenever you use social media posts, you do a quick video, you do whatever you're doing, right, for marketing, right? Drop this authority. And again, that's going to allow you to subtly signal the sellers and build that credibility, right? Where you are that police officer or doctor expert, right? Without even sounding arrogant. So a lot of these things are actually unnoticed, but if you go on any top YouTube channels, you look at their property tours, you look at their social media content, they're dropping this all the time. And you can just notice it's just little small pieces of text or just little sentence that they add there, right? So imply that authority and make sure you signal that credibility. And obviously, this authority question is not just a question of, hey, you just saying something, right? There's other things you can do like credibility as far as building that up, right? As far as your actual quality of your marketing, those sort of things, they always subconsciously signal that authority. But make sure you're also telling those stats and telling those numbers as well. Now, let's go to number three. Number three is authenticity beats templates. Now, let's face it, right now we're in 2025. Everybody has seen a ChatGPT post. Everybody has seen an AI post, right? You're not fooling anybody when you're going to ChatGPT and tell it to write a post or write something, right? Or whenever you buy some sort of software, some sort of tool, right? People can see that from miles away. Hey, something is off here. So homeowners And basically, all the people are actually immune to these cookie cutter AI kind of created content. So speak like a real human, and especially in the real estate industry, this is such an important element. Is that hey, you have to be in your marketing yourself, right? This is not some sort of a business where you can just automate everything, right? And there's no personality, there's nothing, right? It doesn't work that way, right? If you look at any top real estate agents, all of them are in their content. That's what they're known for. All of them are in marketing, right? They build a personal brand. So biggest thing here is don't use any sort of like automated content or try to create your content with AI, and try to focus more on relationship building. What that means in practicalities, right, is that instead of trying to be perfect or just providing like raw information, because that's something we can get from Google, right, or YouTube or anywhere, right? We can get raw information. Try to build more relationships. And what relationship simple means is try to tell stories about yourself, about your experiences as a realtor, as a person, right? And try to be more human being. And this is where a lot of people, especially that have not been used to social media, right, wondering, hey, why is this person like what are posting about their kid's soccer game? Like, how does that make any sense? Or why is this person posting about their dog? Like, how does that relate to real estate? Well, that's how, right, we're building these relationships. And if you look at the statistics, right, 33% of listings in real estate, according to NAR, go based off referrals. So the top agents, the top real estate brokerages, right, doesn't matter, 33% of listings just go based on referrals. So whoever referring business, right, that's whoever gets the business, right? And what is a referral? Basically, that's a relationship in action, right? There's a relationship and somebody refers business to that person. So otherwise, if the relationships wouldn't matter, well, the top teams, top brokerages would just take all the business. That would be it, right? The top realtors, they would just do all the business, but they don't, right? That's why it's because the people trust people that they know, like, and trust, and they like that they know somebody, or at least there's a connection point between there. Because again, we have to remember it is real estate, right? We're selling the largest property, largest ownership asset, right? Basically, that they ever have. And they only do that a couple of times in their lifetime. So authenticity is something super key. If you're not doing this yet, right, make sure you start doing this. That's also going to fix a lot of the problems. If you have problems with your lead quality, if you're getting a lot of low quality leads, right, people are telling you, hey, I don't want to sell the house, I don't trust you, whatever the case may be. Like, if you're getting a lot of that, right, try to add some maturity, authenticity, right? That's really going to allow you to warm those leads up. And that's how a lot of people make decisions, by the way, whenever they come to us. Sometimes I ask them, hey, why do you decide to work with us? People tell us, hey, I've seen your YouTube videos. I like that, whatever, you're from Finland, right? Or I like that my actually grandmother is from Sweden, right? We hear a lot of these things, right? Because again, people don't connect just to the information, just the fact in your authority. They also connect to your personal side. Now, number four is third grade reading levels. So a lot of the times when people are trying to create social media content or they're trying to create marketing, they make it very, very complex. And it's almost sounding like they are trying to do some sort of university lecture where it's like, hey, interest rates are down 3.2%. And actually the way the market works right now is this and this and this, right? Well, that's very, very difficult for people to actually read. And whenever something is more difficult, right? Whenever something is more hard to comprehend, people don't tend to consume it. So easiest way to think about it is right now, if you go on Harvard or you go on Yale YouTube channels, or and you look at the top most advanced things out there, right? The computer science lectures, or you look at quantum physics, right? There's very little views on those videos, right? And that's okay, right? The more complex thing, the less people are usually interested in it, right? So the thing to understand here is, okay, if you want to make your real estate marketing really, really good, and be appealing, right? Be something that people want to consume, be something that's going to be allowed to be go viral, right? It has to be simple, because most people, they don't have the brain energy to go through some sort of lecture, or even if they do have that brain energy, right? They don't simply want to spend that energy going through your content, right? So the simpler your content, the simpler your marketing is, the more virality, the more sales you're going to generate. And people don't read carefully, right? We're not going to be like, okay, now I'm going to read your social media post over here, right? It's going to be more where they're skimming through their feed, they're kind of looking around and trying to get that little dopamine spike. That's what social media is about. And in general, that's how a lot of the world works nowadays as well, right? So make sure you take advantage of that, right? Use short words, use short sentences, use stories, use bullet points, make it easily consumable, and make it so that every single person can understand it. Even a third grader can come up and read your content. Okay, this is what the market is doing, right? This is what it's doing. And so instead of saying something like, hey, My comprehensive listing strategy actually ensures maximum exposure across multiple platforms, and we do X, Y, and Z, like, say something like, hey, I get your home in front of thousands of buyers fast, online, in person, and through my extensive network, right? When you say something like that, it's like, okay, what I'm going to get, right, is my property will go in front of thousands of buyers fast, going to be online, going to be in person, going to be also you're going to be leveraging your extensive. Okay, that makes sense, right? Now that's a simple thing to understand. The other one was more difficult. There's more complexity to it. And again, sure, the other sentence was good, right? It's just more complicated, more difficult. You need to have a certain knowledge skill set to understand that question about, okay, what is exposure? What actually that means, right? I would get that sentence, but again, large audience, majority of people, they do not understand what maximum exposure actually means. So make sure you again say it simply. And again, third grade reading level is what you want to aim for. One of the tricks for this, there's a lot of apps online, and you can also use actually ChatGPT if you want to rate your reading level. So if you have a post, you have a video script that you have, right? Put it on ChatGPT, ask it which reading level is my post. And if it's like grade 7, grade 8, too complex, bring it down to grade 3. And then until you grade 3, right, keep improving it, keep holding it down, and you'll notice immediate shifts in that results you're getting from your posts and content and marketing. Now, number 5 is call out the right people in your advertising. So a lot of times I see people and ask them, hey, like, who do you want to attract with your real estate marketing? And they say, hey, I want to attract everybody. I can drive 30 miles this way. I can do business here. Actually, I'm a realtor in 5 different states. I can go anywhere, right? Well, if you're trying to do that, it's going to be very difficult for you to now create that sort of marketing where it's actually appealing to somebody, right? Because you're trying to attract people from 5 states, 5 different areas, right? Well, it's going to be very, very much impossible. So don't try to attract everybody. Make people feel like you understand their situation, you care about them, and you are actually expert again in their exact market. Better they can understand themselves. And again, if you try to do it from that lens, that paradigm, right, you'll understand that you cannot do this in 5 different states, right? You have to select specific specialization area. So a good example here is imagine a low inventory market, right, where finding a good home to move into a new one, right, is a common obstacle. So instead of saying something like, hey, thinking of selling, say something like, hey, if you're a homeowner in Austin, Texas, and you've thought about selling your home and moving, chances are you've asked yourself the same question you hear from nearly every homeowner right now. Even if I sell at a great price, where should I go? There's so few affordable homes, for so few great homes here in Austin available on the market. And then now we're going very specific, right? So this is what specificity allows us to do. We're going to be able to talk about the exact problem. We're going to be able to talk about the exact area and also be more specific, right? With whatever we're doing, because this is just one post. After this, right, we're going to obviously, if you're running paid ads, you're going to have other stuff like your success page, you have testimonials, you have a website, right? All these things are going to be just more specific, and that's going to create an immense edge. So when you're specific, the right people will lean in. And when you're specific as well with other things like, okay, how you're dressed, where you're in front of, right, what's your background, right, all those things create a situation where a lead will feel like you are specifically designed to work with them, right? If you do the opposite, a good example of opposite, let's say you're doing lead gen, right, is where you're going very, very wide. A good example of going very, very wide is if you just go on Redx, you pull up a list of leads and you try to call those leads, you will notice what generic lead generation looks like, right? You call the lead, like, why are you calling me? Turn the phone down and don't call me again. That's an example of not being specific at all. And the other example of, or the other way to do it is if you're very specific, right? Is where somebody sees, let's say, your YouTube ad, and you talk about something like this. They click on the YouTube ad, they fill out their form out their exact local area, they book a call to speak with you. They have seen your success page where you talk about their exact market, exact area. They already know the service, they already know who you are, they know your method of selling the house. Well, that's very specific lead generation, right? Now, let me ask you, if you do those two methods, other one is just calling leads from Redx, other one is the other type of specific marketing, right? So we have two different lines. Well, which one of those leads is going to be more warmer, right? Which one is going to be easier to close? How many of those two leads do you need, right? With this one, with the one with the YouTube example, that'll probably be 1 in 10, right? With the Redx leads, just calling them being very generic, that's probably 1 in thousands, less than 1 in 1,000, right? So again, we have completely different examples, and that's how you create your overall marketing system is if you want to have those high quality leads, right? If you want to have a lot of attraction from the homeowner where they want your services, be specific. And don't be afraid to be too specific, right? Sometimes I see people asking, like, okay, he's making this post about Virginia Beach. Is this too specific? No, you can just make another post about another area if you want to, right? But be specific rather than generic, because at least when you're specific, right, you're going to be able to attract some people, but more likely than not, if you define your audience well, you're going to be able to attract the right people. You'll also avoid problems like low credit scores or wrong areas, not the right type of leads, right? Is when you really, again, attract those and call out and speak to the right people. Now, number six is tie benefits to status. So sellers, they don't just want to sell, right? They want to improve their lives. So they want to get access to better lifestyle suited for them. That's why they're selling their house, right? They're moving to another area or they're upsizing, downsizing, right? They just want to have a better lifestyle. So they want their friends to be impressed. They want their family to feel proud. They want to feel those emotions of, hey, I'm doing something good. I'm feeling benefit from my life, right? So instead of just saying, "Hey, I help some homes sell quickly, right? I'm best real estate agent," say something like, "Imagine handing over the keys and your friend saying, 'You've sold already and for that price.'" That's the kind of sale I help my clients achieve, right? If you say something like that, that creates an emotion. And let's face it, people are emotional. They make decisions based on emotions, on pride, on feeling good, on feeling joyful, right? People like emotions, right? People are emotional human beings. They're not just robots that like, okay, now I sell my house for 3% more, right? They're emotional. So when you say something like that, that's going to allow people to tap into those emotions, create that emotion, right? And then when you create that emotion, you have their attention. Or another example here is like your kids won't stop talking about the new backyard, and your in-laws will finally admit you nailed that timing, right? Again, you create those emotions and build that status, right? Make them feel like, hey, you're doing something that's going to raise your status. Because again, status, subconsciously speaking, is one of the most important things for us as human beings. Subconsciously, we're always trying to raise our status, raise our perceived social hierarchy situation, right? So whenever you tap into something like that, where it's more emotion based, you're going to be able to really invoke, again, emotion from people. And again, when you have the emotion, you have their attention. Now, number seven is valuable call to actions. So I see a lot of the times when people say something like, contact me today. Hey, if you want to sell your house, call me right now, right? But sellers, they don't want to talk to a salesperson, like we already discussed before. Salespeople in general, right? If you frame yourself as a salesperson, you're going to have a very, very difficult time in this day and age, right? Nobody wants to be pushed around. Nobody wants to be sold. But what people want, people will still buy services, right? People buy tools, people buy help, people watch tons of content to get help, right? So people want valuable stuff. People want value. They will actually want people to help them, but they don't want to be sold. So whenever you do call to action, it should almost feel like you're handing over $100 bill to somebody. So that's why this day and age we're at, right? People never want to buy anything from being sold, but they still want value. I mean, who doesn't want $100 bill, right? So instead of saying something like, hey, contact me for real estate needs, or reach out to me, please, or DM me if you're thinking of selling, saying something like, get free personalized home report from me and find out what your home could actually sell for in today's market, not just with Zillow guesses, 100% for free without any strings attached. If you like that, click the link below, right? That's going to build that situation where you have real tangible value. Now, guess what, right? Deliver that home report. What is that going to do, right? You build some value. Now you have the value, right? What's going to do? It's going to open up the door, right? Open up the door, and this is something you would have probably done anyway, right? If you go on a listing appointment, I mean, you would have done a home report, you would have analyzed the property, right? So you've done this anyway. So at least you're now getting conversations going at a lot faster rates, right? Because let's face it, if you just say something like, just contact me if you're selling it right now, right? Just give me a call. Well, you're only gonna have those people that are doing it right now, and you have a very low conversion rate. So whenever you use call to actions that offer real tangible value, you will be able to, of course, tap into those people that are gonna sell your house. They won't have that report anyway, but you're also gonna have people that are maybe 2 months away, 3 months away, 6 months away. And that is a good thing because you're building your pipeline, right? 2 months down the road, when they're ready, they'll reach out to and they'll do business with you. 6 months down the road, you have that listing. So you secure a listing for yourself, you grab that market share. And again, if you provide that value, you just stand out in general from everybody else. Another way to do this is just any sort of free resource. So even this video, as you know, right, it's a free resource. We're trying to build value, try to build relationships. So something like download my 2025 home seller checklist, 9 simple steps to prep your home for top dollar offers, right? You have something of value. There's a guide, there is a resource, could be a video, anything like that. All these things, they offer call to actions that are valuable. And the other thing to pair up this with is if you have something like a valuable resource already, let's say you have a video like this, could be a property tour, could be a lifestyle, whatever you like to do, you have already something valuable and you pair it up with another valuable call to action. Now you have double benefits going for you. So the more value you basically bring, the more views, the more virality, of course, you're going to generate. But then on top of that, if your value per second is really, really high, also with your call to actions, right? That's when you also get a lot of people to take action. So if you're creating a lot of content, right, you're getting views, getting people to see your content, but nobody's reaching out to you, look into your call to actions and ask yourself, hey, is this a valuable call to action? Or was I kind of like trying to just get business right away, right? So if you can get the valuable call to action down, you get the valuable content down, that's when you really unlock the amount of leads that are actually reaching out to you and do business with you.